Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Nahmadu wa nusalli ala Rasulil Kareem. Amma ba'd. Uh, Thanks everybody for joining our podcast regarding AI first mindset. With us, we have a great personality, though is an emerging personality in the field of AI and AI in daily life and AI-driven education. We have brother Shihabudheen, who's a visionary leader, and he is focused on meaningful educational, dedicated transformational leadership through innovation and AI-driven approaches. What essentially that means, we'll discuss about that. He is also the founder of Hash Future School, that is focused on AI first mindset and AI first education. And we'll also discuss with him how we can use AI in Islamic education and Islamic perspective. So thank you so much, Brother Shihabudheen, for joining. And please, I know it was a very short introduction, but I will just leave it to you, so the
Okay.
viewers, they can get a little bit more description about yourself.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. So thank you,
Wa alaikum assalam.
Raza and team Edifyed Academy for inviting me. So it has been a great time, exploring the possibilities of AI. So I am Shihabudheen. I am from India, and I am the founder of Hash Future School. So we are in a mission to create a meaningful education in the era of AI, artificial intelligence, and technology growth. So what we have brought forward is a concept of education wherein we are thinking very different from the conventional model, where we depend on a science-first approach or a math-first approach. We are actually pivoting into a computer science-first approach or an AI-first approach. So this is what we do at Hash Future School. So we do it in a K-12 level, wherein we start the education from age 7, and we continue. We are actually building a concept of education for 3 to 5 years of time, rather than the entire K-12 scenario. We are actually building something for 3 to 5 years, wherein the students will acquire the capabilities for self-learning, research-based learning, and building their own, designing their own future educational models using the artificial intelligence for now, and maybe whatever technologies or whatever systems that come in future too. So that's what we envision with Hash Future School. So it's a nice time to discuss about using artificial intelligence in our personal life, professional life, and even in business. So we will, I think, we will have much more fruitful discussion in this area going forward. Thank you, Raza bhai, for inviting me.
Oh, no. Thank you so much for taking this time out. I know it is a little late in India as well, and you must be a little bit tired too. But I do appreciate you joining us. And again, as you mentioned, this is, as you said, like AI right now in every field, as you mentioned, like in daily use as well, in education, academia, in corporate world, in your daily life. There are people who are afraid of it, and there are people who are just taking it heads on. And then there are people who think AI will take over the world and it will just kill the humanity, you know. And there's like different usage of AI in every domain of life. So I think one of the things I want to start with, and I want to go with your approach and how we should think about AI and AI mindset of approaching daily life. But I want to get an understanding from your perspective of what is the role of AI, and are we the tools? Like social media, we are not the consumers. We become the tools of social media. And how do we deal that technopoly of AI in this world that we have?
Okay. So whatever technology comes in, there are two categories of users. One category is are creators who create the system, who adopt the system at a early stage and use it in a constructive model. So that is one part. They are the ones who actually succeeds in this in this kind of world. And
Okay.
another part is of the consumers. And the majority of the people are in that area. So whoever consumes it and whoever don't know how to use it in a constructive way actually will not exist. That is the terminology that is getting used by many of the futuristic thinkers. They say that the ones who create technology, ones who constructively is going to use the technology, is going to be the leaders in the future world. And this is the same with this kind of concerns are already pop up with all the kind of technologies and all the kind of changes. So be it the time of the invention of electricity, be it the industrial age, be it the time when we moved from a conventional home-based education to a school-based education or a university-level education. Every time this issue used to pop up, right? So even with the invention of the computers, actually there were a lot of concerns like human beings are going to lose their creativity. Human beings are going to lose their dominance of the world. Human beings are going to lose their opportunity, right? But that was a necessity. Later on, we understood that that was a necessity. Maybe starting from the dot-com era of in 1990s. Initially, people were resistant to adopt these changes, right? We were not ready to purchase something online. We were not ready to deploy something online. We were not ready to learn from online and all. But later on, that changed, right? Even the COVID scenario that came in, actually, it was a blessing. But unfortunately, majority of the people did not realize that that is a blessing. Majority of the people wanted that era to end, because it was an era wherein people adopted a digital world, and people actually started working remotely from home. People actually started studying from home. But unfortunately, the majority of the people were not able to adopt to that kind of situation. Actually, whoever adopt to this kind of changes are the ones who are going to lead the world. And there is no need of concern whenever a new technology is coming, a new change is coming. Why should we be concerned? Let us adopt that. But on a moral side, we should have that moral value. So whoever builds this technology may not have the moral value. We can't ensure that they are having all the moral values, because they will be concentrating on building a business. They will be always interested in their own agendas. But as human beings, we have got the wisdom, right? So whenever we use a technology, let us think in with a moral perspective. So adding a moral value to that new technology is going to be successful, right? So even using YouTube for our activities, it was not a common practice earlier, because people were resistant to go into a digital world for our purposes. Nowadays, if you look at that scenario, people are using YouTube a lot for our purposes. And even even the youngsters, they are actually in a social media world. They are actually in a digital world. So if you want to reach them, we'll have to also adopt ourselves. The older generation should go into a world where there is social media. When social media is not bad, actually it brought in a kind of culture wherein we have got a citizenship involvement, right? Every citizen had got an involvement in decision making. Earlier, this was not the case. Majority of the news were hidden. Majority of the news media, majority the news media was in the hands of a couple of people. Now what happened? It became social media, and everyone got an opportunity to express themselves. Everyone got the opportunity to learn, learn a lot of things and think as a global citizen. That was one of the opportunities that was brought in by technology. So rather than be doubtful about technology, let's adopt the technology, but with a moral value. So the moral value is the same, from the starting of the humanity till the end of the humanity, we know the moral values are going to be the same. But the situation that we are going to face, or the kind of technology that are going to come, is going to be from a different angle. So the only thing is that we should ensure that everything gets adopted with a moral value, but don't be doubtful. Let's adopt the technology and build a moral value to that technology. I think that will be the contribution that we need to give from our side. So that's how we need to adopt technology.
Very good. So this, as you were saying, I was writing down some of the notes. So you talked about in the very beginning, you're talking about either we are the creator or we're the consumers. And I think that is where the AI first mindset comes in as well. Like we have to be able to utilize the technology. It is a tool, just like any other tool, right? But at the same time, if you're just driving the car and if you're not running, we'll not get healthy. So, and same thing like, when the calculators first came out, everybody's using calculators for their mathematical calculations. But if you do not learn how to do the analog calculation, if you will, then, that becomes an obstacle in growth as well in and of itself. So I want to first touch with that. And then we can definitely go, you said a very interesting statement that COVID was a blessing. So, and, at least for the digital world, right? And that is a interesting, inna mala usra yusra, like with every hardness, there's good. So, that's a very interesting way of putting it. And then the last thing is about adopting the morality and moral value of AI, because AI is like decentralized and it is not governed, and well, the morality of AI is something, in a lot of different aspects is a topic of its own. But let's start with what you're talking about, like how do we, develop that AI first mindset, and also how do we ensure that we become creators and we develop creators instead of consumers?
Okay, fine. So that's a great question. So developing an AI first mindset is crucial at this point of time. So even in 2000, the early 2000, it was computer science first approach. Okay, so at that time, the computer science technology was developing, and this kind of online trading and .com companies came into existence in the 1990s and in the early 2000, right? So at that time, it was computer science first approach. Now, since generative AI is in place, now we need to think in a way that we need to actually accept the fact that there is something called artificial intelligence, and it is going to revolutionize something. It is going to change the way we live and change the way we actually work. Okay, so that's the reality that we need to accept first. So we need to accept the reality first. So thinking in an AI first mindset. So in my personal life and in my business, what I do is like I think I take this approach where there is an AI tool which can do my task. I don't spend my time again doing that task, repeating that task. Like
Automation.
the way you said about calculators. If there is a calculator, let's use that. So even our young generation, we need to teach them in such a way that if there is a calculator, use it wisely. If there is a computer, use it wisely. If there is an AI, let us use it wisely. The only thing is that it should be a tool. It's not a replacement. So what we need to do is like we'll have to actually have a mindset where we need to think like this. There is an AI for everything. This is what we need to think. So everything in the sense there is an AI which can actually replace or which can actually augment us in the way we do things. So what we need to do is like we need to first of all think about creating an AI. If there is a gap, we need to think about creating an AI which can do the task easily, so that we have something better to do. So human beings have always got something better to do that than with technology, right? So if there is a system that can do something, let us leave it to the system. If there is no such system, let us think about developing a system. Let us think about automating that system and do something better. That's how human beings grow, right? So from an agrarian society, we developed industries, right? So we went into an industrial era. We invented electricity. Then we went into mobility and telecommunications and all. And this made our life easier. And it connected the world. So it made us a global citizen. It helped us to think like a global citizen. It brought in a lot of advancement in even in agriculture. It brought a lot of advancement in healthcare and the longevity of people, the health of the people, and even in education. So what we need to think, we need to actually build some system and think in a different way. So in an AI driven world, so I think like this. So even the education need a revamp. Okay, so what we need to do is like we need not always use the technology to do something which is already done by people. So for example, Steve Jobs rightly put it in 1980s. He gave an interview wherein he told about the invention of television. So whenever when people invented television, they don't know what to do with television for the first 25 years. So what they did, they just recorded the radio shows and telecasted it. So for the first 25 years, this was the scenario. But actually, television had to do something different, right? So that was invented after maybe after 20, 25 years. So here also AI, artificial intelligence also, we need to actually find the use cases. We need to actually find the workflows. We need to actually think about in a different way. So that's what we do at Hash Future School. We ask our students to think in a different way, where they can utilize these technologies, they can utilize the maximum power of artificial intelligence and technologies and take the humanity to the next level. And let us be free, and let us do something different, and let us do something which makes our lives better, even than that we experience right now. And even in terms of, because with every technology there comes there are pros and cons, right? So we need to think about the harmful ways of this technology getting used, and we need to think about putting a barrier, or think about preventing those kind of things, and make build a peaceful world. So think like a global citizen, think with an AI first mindset approach, and think like this: there is an AI for everything. So if there is there does not exist an AI, we need to build some technology for that. So that's how I think in an AI first mindset. So I want each and everyone to think in that mindset, even in when we consider the case of education of our children too. Think in an AI first mindset. Think about a world where there is an AI, where there are technologies. So think in a new way, and our entire life becomes easier. So that's my experience.
No, so one of the things you mentioned is again productivity, and you talked about, and that's a topic of concern to a lot of people too. That AI will take away a lot of jobs, a lot of developer jobs. As you're talking about automated cars, drivers, a lot of robotics, all of these different industries, they will take away a lot of jobs, and that is whether that's productive or for humanity or not is another concern that a lot of people have. But you also talk about something very interesting, which is the rate of innovation, which is how, like with AI and with technology, we will, hypothetically, our rate of innovation should increase exponentially, because we have so many people with this access to this technology around the world, and we have to democratize it in a way where everybody has similar access. If we, as you said, like create barriers, then not everybody will be able to use it, and again, it will create similar classes like we have in economy, and we will have that barrier, or that classification for technology as well. I mean, we still do. There are like a lot of countries that do not have electricity, technology, and different lifestyles and economies and the necessities of life. So so just going back to that, the rate of innovation, and also the fear that everybody has that AI will take away all of these jobs. And then you're talking about AI education. What is education, right? And what is the role of a teacher in an education? And is AI an educator?
Okay, great. So that's another great question. So what we need to think is I told that we are actually thinking with an AI first mindset in education. So we believe that the traditional way of teaching should be stopped. So the teachers should stop teaching, because we have got different sources for learning right now. So whatever learnings we had from the historical times, we actually adopted this, because if you check the case of schooling, actually this started only around 250 years back with the advancement in industrial era. So it took only 50 years. It got developed to 50 years ago, right? So even before that, education, the model of education was there. So there was a change that happened. But unfortunately, whatever change happens, it becomes stagnant. So the same thing happened with the schooling system too, because people believed in a system wherein they will have to complete K-12, they will have to go to university, they will have to take a PhD or so and go to work. So that is a kind of culture that was actually followed by us. So what we need to do is when the technology is getting democratized, learning is also getting democratized. So we need to think in an angle from a student-first approach in education. So student-centered learning should happen. So the role of the teacher will become a facilitator or a creator or a guide. Right. So the teachers or our generation should actually co-learn and co-create with the new learners. That's how we also can advance. Right. So that is one part. And with technology coming into picture, many have the fear like many jobs are getting replaced. Of course, many jobs are getting replaced, but a lot of opportunities are coming up, because this was the same concern that was there when the computers were invented. This was the same concern, because people had concerns like the traditional accountant job, because people used to create a lot of spreadsheet manually in stock markets and all, and it was the first job that got automated. And there were other jobs too which got automated with the invention of computers. So the same is going to happen with AI, but with a faster pace, because previously we used to get time to adopt to the changes, because we each and every change took 50 years or more, and we got time to adopt to this kind of technologies or changes. But right now we don't have time. That is one concern. So the only thing is to learn. The only thing is to learn and have a mindset to change. So what we need to do is, like, we should not be over concerned about losing our jobs, but at the same time we need to ensure that we need to change. If we are not willing to change, what happens? We become useless. So there is some quote about useless class. So whoever is not ready to learn with the new changes and not ready to change with the changing world, they becomes useless. So there is going to be, right now we have got different classes, right? The middle class, the upper middle class, the high income group, and the people below the poverty line and all. And when the technology advances and this kind of technology comes into picture, there will be only two classes of people: the people who are growing with technology or growing with the changing world, and the other one are the useless class. The terminology may be like may not be right fit for humanity, but if you don't understand this terminology in a better way, if we become useless, actually the thing is that we are not adopting technology. If we are ready to adopt technology and move forward, we won't become useless. So even from the education perspective, if we think about teaching our kids all this kind of old stuff, and we want them to learn all the mind math stuff, and we don't allow them to use AI or technology, actually we are dragging them backward. So we need not do this. What we need to do is, like, we'll have to allow them to use in a creative way. Actually, this kind of technologies are going to make human beings much more creative. The research, the time for research is coming down. The time for new innovations are coming down. And with the advancement of quantum computing, the speed with which the quantum computing, the Google's Willow, and there is some new model coming up from China. Actually, they are like taking the humanity to the next level. So we need to actually adopt to this kind of technologies. We'll have to actually think in a way that AI is here to augment. It's not here to replace us. So it's not the AI who is going to replace us, but a person who is going to use the AI, he is going to replace us, right? So we need to think from a perspective that AI is here to augment us. AI is here to help us as a tool. So if we are using the tool in the right way, and if we are sharpening our skills to use that tool, we are going to be the masters. Otherwise, we are going to be in that useless class. So that's what my thought about this.
No, I do agree with you in the sense that, we definitely need to teach our kids, as you said, like AI first approach on how to use the technology, right? At the same time, when we're talking about teaching or even parenting, right? Teaching is at the sense, like, parenting, we cannot just leave the kids as parents to AI. As you said, there's morality involved, there's behavior involved. How do we tame them according to our faith, our values, our culture, and the dynamics that we live in? And how would we? And then again, you talk about morality, because AI. When you're talking about AI morality, the morality, computers don't have morality, right? Humans have to input the morality in the system. And when everybody has morality, then how would we define, as you earlier you had mentioned about creating some kind of barriers for technology for students. How do we teach that, or how do we handle that scenario where we have to tame the behavior of students and our children, essentially our children, right? When we talk about students, they are our children, right? And we are talking about setting up the next generation for growth and success. And AI is certainly a tool for that, but how do we use AI in education? And using AI in education as a technology is one thing, but is AI a teacher? That is my question.
Okay. The new generation is actually going to learn from Google. They are actually going to search using generative search and other tools which are available, because that is the first source for information for them, right? We need to accept that, because even if there are elders or if there are scriptures or something like that, the new generation is not actually going to them. On the first hand, they will do a Google search, and in the future they will be asking a chatbot like ChatGPT or Gemini or Perplexity or any other tool. So we need to actually understand that the new generation is going to approach these kind of technologies. So what we need to do, we'll have to actually practice them. We'll have to give a practice for them to use it in a constructive way, and we'll have to you'll have to teach them that this is not real. Okay, so because there is some curriculum called Make It Real. So we'll have to actually ensure that the new generation does not blindly believe this kind of technology and tell that ChatGPT is showing all the facts and it is giving all the good advice. We need to actually teach them that the technology has such a downside and technology has its own positives. So what we need to do, we'll have to actually train them in such a way that the technology is used in a constructive way. The same is the case with gaming too. Gaming is actually a great tool to teach our new generation. But unfortunately, they use it in a destructive model, because they play the games wherein they kill people. They don't have moral values. But think about a scenario wherein we can introduce games which teaches moral values. So think about the ways wherein we have YouTube videos which actually teaches them moral values, because these kids are actually watching cartoons from the very young age. So if you watch some of the cartoon channels, you could see a lot of steps which are discussed, which should otherwise should not have been discussed in that age group. But people are, even in CoComelon YouTube videos, actually a lot of things are getting discussed, wherein even we elders are not prepared to learn such things. But unfortunately, the other side, the people who are using the technology for evil, actually they are using it in a better way. So what they do, they actually place this kind of information, like whatever they want to teach the younger generation, they put it in cartoons, they put it in YouTube videos, they put it in games, they introduce it in AI and other stuff. So what we need to do, as parents or the people who want to keep the moral values, what we need to do, we'll have to be the constructors of the technology. That is one part. Another one is like we'll have to teach the constructive usage. We'll have to train the constructive usage of this technology. And as parents, one more important thing is that we actually need to learn, because it is we who taught the younger generation that YouTube is an entertainment platform. YouTube is actually a learning platform. But unfortunately, it was us, it was the parents who taught the younger generation that the YouTube is an entertainment channel and WhatsApp is some tool wherein we just gossip. Okay, actually, so as elders, what we need to do, we need to actually learn along with the new generation. We'll have to actually create the moral values along with them, and we should set the right examples. So children always listen with their eyes. So they will just copy what they learn from the elders. So what we need to do is we need to actually give them some more constructive time. So whatever jobs that you can give to AI, give it to AI, free your time, and sit with your children. Okay, so you'll have to spend constructive time with your children. So now you are going to get free, because as a computer science engineer, if I need to spend 15 hours doing a work, now I can give it to AI and I can do it in 4 hours time. Maybe 50% of my time is free. So what I need to do, that 50% of my time I need to actually spend with my children. So I can guide them better. I can learn along with them. I can teach them how they can use the technology in a constructive way. So the only solution is we'll have to learn. We'll have to learn the constructive usage of these technologies. We'll have to teach, we'll have to pass on these values to the new generation, because the new generation should be will listen to the technology first, and they will also come back to us to test our knowledge. So this is another situation we are going to face. They will test our knowledge. So when they find that we are knowledgeable than the AI, or we are knowledgeable like we are knowledgeable about about the new technologies and the constructive usage of technologies, they will always come back to us. So we also should learn, we also should co-learn with the new generation. We also need to learn how to use the technology in a constructive way, so that the new generation is getting the right guidance.
Very interesting point, and very important point you made is like the forces of evil are already using this technology, and we have to use this technology for good, right? And as we're educating children, as you talk about like creating that mindset, how do we develop that mindset of AI first mindset and with that morality? That is, I guess, what I'm trying to understand. Because we as you mentioned, like YouTube, right? It's not an entertainment platform, it's a learning platform, and of course it is, right? But at the same time, it is whether you're a creator of that platform or you're a consumer of that platform. And if you just use that as entertainment, then you're just wasting your time, right? But it has so much information that we can, as you said, learn. And education itself is evolving quite a bit. Not only because, as you mentioned, like, there are some fields where you probably still need, like, the proper training, like healthcare. Like, doctors you cannot make on, well, I don't know if we'll have AI doctors, but
There is a Dragon Copilot which was released 2 days back.
Okay, and
It's
that's
going to
like
help the doctors.
to have the doctors, right? But
Yeah.
at some point they'll have to do surgeries. At some point they'll have to, and what happens in an operation, on a table, and then the power goes out. So you have to have like some kind of like a human element in there as well. But I lost my chain of thought. But but the point being is, we were talking about education, right? And how we should enable the children to learn and learn in a better way and more efficient way, and how to apply that in our life. And one of the things that you did mention is that will give the parents more time to spend with the children, with the kids. And again, there is a social aspect of being human that technology does not handle in a way that in a natural environment, they do. You're talking about gamification of technology, but when you talk about like different sports, like whether that is soccer, football, cricket, hockey, whatever, right? There's a social element to that. And that emotional intelligence to understand the failures of life, to understand that, okay, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, how to negotiate confrontation in life, how to, like, whenever we are um in a scenario in life where there's conflict of interest, there's always conflict of interest, and how do we handle that politically and otherwise? I think those are some of the things that are not part of the education that should also be part of the education. That's what we're trying to do at Edifyed as well, like bring in all the different personality and developing humans. It's like 250 so years ago when the education system was developed, it was developed just to basically build labor class to so they can go and work and function in the society in that industrial era. So my point being is just the AI world and having that AI first mindset. How do we train the children for the social interaction of being human?
Okay, great. So it's like actually human beings are natural learners. Human beings learn to walk, they learn to talk, they learn to interact on their own way. Actually, that's a natural process. So we need to actually think in that way. So human beings are great researchers by birth. So they research a lot. They actually interact with people. They learn from different sources. So this is what we need to actually teach the new generation, how to research in a better way. So as human beings, you have got the natural quality to research. So now you have got another friend. And now you have got a companion like AI or any other technology to augment that too. So let us take the research in a better way. So let's ask the new generation to solve a problem. So that is one part that we do at 𝐥𝐸 School. Rather than we giving them some kind of specific curricula or some kind of specific units for learning, what we do is like we actually give them scenarios. We actually give them case studies wherein they will try to solve a problem. So they will have to research. So some may blindly trust ChatGPT or any other tools for this. So we say that is not the right way. You can use ChatGPT, you can use the tools, but there is another point wherein you will have to learn the history part. You'll have to interact with people. You'll have to interview people. You'll have to go to the community and learn. So that is the one way that we actually train the new generation. So this is the way that we can do. We can actually create a research mindset. We can actually ask them to be much more creative and come up with something curious. So if we can actually personalize learning too. That is another advantage of these technologies. Actually, the problem with the schools is that we don't have the opportunity to personalize education. Here, with technology, we can actually personalize education. We can even give, because the faster pace of technology with AI and other tools, what we can do, we can even create the contents in a faster model, wherein even in a classroom, if there are 10 students, actually we can give them 10 different case studies or 10 different scenarios wherein they are interested. For example, if somebody is interested in soccer, what we can do, we can teach them math using soccer. If somebody is interested in arts, we can actually give them those kind of scenarios or case studies, right? So that can be done in a minute's time. So whenever we understand in a classroom, when we understand that this is going to we want to personalize the contents according to each and every child, we can do that. That is one part. Another one is on the assessment part. Right now we have got a standardized assessment. This is not going to evaluate any person's trait. This is just a general framework which is just evaluating people based on the summative assessment. So this need to change, because each and every person has got a different way to express themselves. So we need to listen to the opinion of different students. We'll have to assess each and everyone on a personalized side. So that can be done. We can even assess their skills. So we'll have to actually teach them in a way that they are researchers. They are someone who has got a say in the world. So we need to actually create such a culture wherein everyone has a say, even if that is a child studying in grade 1, or he is somebody in the university, or he's someone with a 20 years of experience. Everyone has got a say. It's not about your experience. If it's about your wisdom, how you place it. So that's how we can train the new generation. So the usage of technology is not going to actually hinder that, because right now, for example, the textbook that we teach in schools, actually they have got only a few references, right? They would have referenced maybe 5 or 6 textbooks. And AI is going to reference hundreds and thousands and millions of textbooks and resources. So it has got that kind of information. The only part the human beings need to apply is the wisdom part. How we are going to analyze this kind of result, how we are going to take it to the next level. For example, ChatGPT for education, actually, they are integrating this with universities. So they are actually collaborating with universities, and they are taking the research to the next level. So for example, if you take the case of COVID virus, if you take the case of Spanish flu that happened once like 100 years back, the kind of the way which we tackled that particular scenario was way faster than we tackled Spanish flu. So maybe in another 100 years, if we are again going to face another kind of this kind of epidemic, we will be able to tackle it in a much faster pace. So take the case of poverty. Poverty was something which was common in the world, maybe 50 years back or 100 years back. Now the rate of poverty has come down. Maybe the war situation and the other situations has created such scenarios. But if you take in totality, the same is the case with healthcare. So we need to teach the new generation in such a way that they have got a lot of things to do for humanity. They have got to do a lot of research. But here the research is not taking that much time. Previously, if you took 25 years for research, now it will take only 5 years or so, maybe less than that. So the research mindset, we need to actually cultivate that kind of research mindset. And coming on to the social scenario, we'll have to actually give them community projects. So at Hash Future School, what we do is like we give them community projects. We actually ask them to think like a global citizen. So the problem of a person in Africa is your problem. The problem of a person in Gaza, it's your problem. So even if you are a person sitting in India or Pakistan or Dubai or in the US, it's your problem. You can actually solve that. You can actually contribute your part. You can raise your opinion. You can raise your voice. That is the kind of scenario that was brought in by social media, right? Right now, if you lead a protest in the US, or if you raise a voice in India or Pakistan, you can actually reach to that at a global level, and it is going to create a greater impact. So that's how we need to actually bring up the humanitarian aspect in the new generation. And coming on to the social aspects, or coming on to the gaming part, if you consider the games that we play in in the physical space, like cricket or football, it also has got a downside. Okay, it also has got, because there are hooligans. If you
Mm,
guys, case of Europe, there are hooligans. Actually, they take the game in a negative way, and even drugs. People always say that if you are someone who is addicted to drugs, get addicted to games or sports, you will actually actually get a relief from that. That's not the case. Take the case of Maradona. He's because the greatest drug lords are there in sports too. So
mm,
it's all about whatever field you are in. You should bring in that moral side. The moral side is there within each and every human being, and it is a greater responsibility of the parents to ensure that that is not getting killed. That kind
mm,
of morality is not getting killed. And when you play the games which are constructive, about constructing a city, constructing something for the poor. So if you have the character of playing a game wherein you construct something for the needy, you always take that same thing to your adulthood too, right? So we can actually, even using games, videos, even using technology, we can actually guide the new generation in a better way, and better for humanity too. That is simply possible. So let's think in that way. Let's take everything in a constructive way. Let's try to build this kind of culture of constructivity and creativity, and the mindset of helping people, being humanitarian, being thinking like a global citizen. Like, take all these aspects, even in moral education, when taking to the conventional education, even in that field also, we need to actually think in these aspects and think like a global citizen, think like a problem solver, think like someone who can contribute to the society and help humanity in large. So that will solve the problem. The technology is always a tool. As we always say, technology is always a tool. It's about how we use them. And
mm,
who is going
absolutely.
so who is going to use them is crucial, right? So we'll have to train the person who is going to use them. So we'll have to build the moral side on one part, and allow them to use the technology on the other side.
There's so many important points you talk about, like scenario-based learning, right? So crucial, like, in our lives, and that's what learning is all about. Like, and at Edified Academy, we do believe that education is essentially as about how should we live our life. Like, and that's what education is supposed to train you about, like, not how to deal with different scenarios, not only um, your morality, as you talk about different scenarios, your decision making in life, your thinking, your vision for life, your mission for life, and all of these things, all they come together. And that's what we're trying to do, become like, hopefully trying to make everybody a better version of themselves, right? And a few things you talk about is in scenario-based learning. We do that in certain cases in conventional education system, as you had mentioned earlier. Like, we probably do that at postgraduate level or graduate level, right? But at a very young age, it is very good for the kids to have those critical thinking skills to be able to evaluate the scenarios and react accordingly. One of the things you talked about is, again, it's a controversial talk about ChatGPT, is, you talk about research and education and academia and plagiarism, right? Plagiarism becomes a very critical part of this, right? And when you're talking about research, the research of a personal level of research, right? When we're talking about ChatGPT or like we're talking about like innovation and growth and the rate of innovation, uh, is getting better exponentially. There's also this chance that somehow using these technologies, they will rely so much on the technology that they will stop using their own skills. Like, as you talked about, and that is always that case, right? Where, we're just using ChatGPT and asking them for certain cases, and and ChatGPT or any AI system, or we talk about generative AI, any of the generative AI only knows what they know through the internet, right? And then again, internet has its own um, dominance culture. There's a dominant culture on the internet, right? Uh, which is a discussion of itself, like what is internet and where the ChatGPT is getting this information and what is the data, and does we have our data in there for our scenarios. So how, again, coming back to the point of research and how we use ChatGPT for research, does that impact academia in a negative way? I know, like, there's a positive use of that. I'm not denying that. All I'm saying is there's a higher chance of students or researchers or other people who may use this and just kind of like type a thesis statement, get a result, and they'll just print their results. So that is, or have some simulated surveys, have some simulated results. How do we that corruption of being human? It's not a corruption of the system, right? But it's a corruption of us. And how do we handle that?
Okay. So coming on to the training data of this kind of LLM, the large language models, it's not only the data from internet. Actually, whatever research papers are there available with universities,
Right.
whatever research documents are there with the humanity, maybe for example, whatever scriptures we had in the past, everything is getting, so whatever is getting digitalized, actually they learn from that. So that is one part. It's not only learning from internet or one simple angle. And each and every large language models that either it is coming from the US or from the China, actually they have different learning models. So whatever is available in a video mode, whatever is available in a document mode, which is a digitalized document mode, or from the internet or whatever Wikipedia or anywhere, it learns from that in a faster mode. So that is one part. And another part is like I already said that when you learn in a university or whenever you learn in a school, what happens? We are actually limited to a few books, textbooks, or a few research areas. But when you go to ChatGPT or any other large language model, if you are someone who knows how to use it in a productive way, if you have a great vision, so this is another part, because your vision also matters. If you are someone who just want to clear an exam, or if you want to somehow submit a paper and get a doctorate, that's done, because that you can always use these kind of tools and get your thing done. But if you are someone who is with a great vision, because even there are some studies in India which says that 90% of the PhD documents which are submitted are just created by some agencies. Because if you take the case of PhDs, actually they are just done for the namesake. They just actually want like a doctorate degree. That's it. But if you take the case of another 10% of the research papers or whatever advancements that happen in the field of healthcare or academia or any other field or any other science field, if you see somebody who is serious in research will not actually just depend on this kind of tools and just copy paste from that. So this scenario already exists, even with or without ChatGPT. This actually exists in the academic field. Okay, so the same may get replicated when you come to technology also. But this is the case. More and
the
more
human element, right? The human element.
Yes, exactly. So if you want someone, because now the technology is getting democratized, education is getting democratized, information is getting democratized. So now everybody has got access, provided the governments also don't put a barrier. That is another part, because coming on to Web 3.0, because there are communities who still vouches for responsible AI. There are still people who want AI to be open sourced. Everything should be open source. So there are people who are working on that field too. So there are good human beings too. Not only this is not just a business situation. This is not somebody building a business. Maybe the tools which came out like ChatGPT or DeepSeek or the Copilot, everything came from corporates. But believe me, this is going to get democratized more and more. Because take the case of DeepSeek, because ChatGPT was dominating the field, or Microsoft was dominating the field. China came up with something better. Maybe someone from Africa can come up with something better. Maybe someone from Middle East can come up with something better. So this is a rise. Maybe in another 20 years' time, we will get to a situation where everyone get access to these kind of things, and everyone start creating their own methodologies, and we get something called ethical AI or something called responsible AI. So here, that is going to help us. So human beings who use it in a wrong way will always use it in a wrong way. And somebody who wants to go to the next level, or somebody who wants to grow, who wants to help the humanity in large, will always try to create something better, create some better situations in healthcare, create some better situations in education, right? Because if taking the case of education again, the traditional universities are still reluctant to change. The traditional schools are still reluctant to change because they want the authority of the teachers to be there. Because this is another situation. Because whoever actually resists the changes, actually they want their own agenda to be in place. They want their jobs to be secure. They don't want the new generation to learn new things. They don't want the new generation to think in a new way. They always want the new generation to think in an old way, which they used to think, wherein they always resist their older generation, right? So if you speak about someone who grew in 1980s, they actually don't like the way their grandparents used to live, right? They don't want the way their grandparents used to live in 1950s and 1940s. They actually want to think in a different way. So we should allow the new generation to think in a different way. But again, I insist on the point. We actually need to actually transfer the morality, the moral part. The morality is the same. Whatever technology comes, whatever tools come in, the moral part is same. It's all about helping the humanity. It's about thinking in an ethical way. It's about how to help someone, how to solve the problems faced by humanity. So we need to actually pass those moral values. So now I always say that we can't actually teach morality. We can't teach ethics. We can only show it by example. So if you are someone who keeps these ethical values, the new generation also will follow. If you take the case of Japan, they actually practice it. The older generation, they actually practice. The adults actually practice, and the younger generation just copies it. They don't actually learn. They don't preach it. They don't actually give them some theoretical lessons or so, but they actually see the adults and they learn from the adults, because the adult sets the example. So that's how we need to guide the new generation. So whenever we use technology, whenever we are in the physical space, we need to actually uphold this kind of moral values. We'll have to behave in an ethical way, and the new generation will also follow us.
It's a good point, because we're talking about this, I'm thinking about AI in Islamic education, on Muslim education, because Muslim education has always been, for the past, since the time of the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, has been very traditional, right? It is heart to heart. It's from one person to another person, right? And the epistemology of divine knowledge is different than a creative knowledge, if you will, right? If you're talking about science and technology and research and all of that. And that has been the way that Quran has been preserved. That has been the way that our Salah and Psalm and everything, Zakat system, everything has been preserved. And to your point, since like the past 100 years or so, we do not have like our social system of having, we used to have Waqf and Baitul Mal and things, and a different model of economy, including Zakat, to distribute wealth and to alleviate poverty, right? So again, I think the point that I'm trying to come to is, how do we utilize AI in Islamic education while we maintain the traditional approach of Islamic epistemology and knowledge, that heart-to-heart knowledge of Quran and Hadith and ulum al-Quran and fiqh and all of those important, which basically essentially give us our morality, right, from Muslims, right? And how do we engage that with AI?
Okay, so coming on to Islamic education, actually the parents play a key role. So if you want to educate your children on moral values, or if you want to actually want them to practice salah in a better way, or zakat in a better way, actually the parents should actually what to do. The parents should actually should set an example. So that is how Islamic education was there in the previous generations, and that we need to carry to the future generations too. So that is one part. Another part is like coming on to the Quran education. If you take the case of learning Quran, if you come to India, it is in a different way. It is the Qaris are reciting Quran. Maybe they are not that pure in Arabic. So if you are someone who can learn, for example, if you are someone who can learn from Sheikh Sudais by watching a video, your qiraat will be like him, right? So you can actually learn from the source. That is one thing that actually the technology has brought in. So if you are someone who can learn the qiraat from YouTube, so I am just giving an example. And if you are someone who have the parent who is also knowledgeable, the parent, it's the responsibility of the parents. But nowadays, what happens is that they want their children to be hafiz. Everyone want their children to be hafiz, but they themselves don't want to be hafiz. Okay. So what we need to do is like, we at the age of 40 should start learning Quran, or at the age of 50 should be ready to learn Quran, should be ready to learn along with our new generation. And we also have the same opportunity as the new generation, because we have access to YouTube, we have access to AI, we have access to different technologies, which makes things easier. And we can also build technologies for this, because it's our responsibility to build technologies for this. Otherwise, what happens? The new generation always refer, because their first-hand reference is to technology. So what we need to do, we should be someone who create the technology, because the people who create the technology, as we already discussed, they may not have moral values. They'll be from an LGBTQ community. They don't have they will be from an atheist background. So they don't have the moral values. Maybe us we say. So what we need to do, we need to actually create a community wherein we need to actually tune the technology in such a way that it is getting used by the new generation. Because of course the new generation is going to learn from technology, and we need to actually give them constructive ways. So it's the responsibility of the parents to learn. So the parents should be the best teachers. So coming on to Islamic education, parents are the best teachers, because Islam don't want us to preach anything. Islam always says that by the age of 7, till the age of 7, you don't teach them anything. Just don't even teach them hasanats. Just give them, set the right example. So if you are the right example, if you are spending much more time with your children, and if you are someone who is having these moral values, and if you are someone who is giving zakat, who is upholding salah, and who is upholding zaum, everything, then it is going to create wonders. So that's how it used to be in the previous era, and that's how we need to take it to the next level. But we need to build technology in such a way that our new generation is not getting misled by the technology, or misled by the information which is pumped by AI, because AI or systems can pump in a lot more information. So if you check the sources in Google right now, there are a lot of websites which gives misinformations, right? So now we have got some systems to fact check that. So now we have put in fact check systems in internet. The same way we'll have to create some kind of fact checking mechanism in AI, because every device that you use is going to use AI. Every device, every system the new generation is going to interact with, that will have AI and technologies. So they will simply believe that. So that this should not happen. So we need to, as responsible Muslims, what we need to do, we'll have to be in the forefront of creating technology. We'll have to be in the forefront of creating LLMs. We'll have to be in the forefront of the new innovations. So that's the only way we can take it back. So take the case of innovations that happen in the Muslim world till the 14th century. Now that is not happening. So that is another case that we need to think about. Think about the Hijri calendar. Hijri calendar, previously the Arab countries used to follow Hijri calendar. Now they are also following the Gregorian calendar. So we need to, if you are someone who is going to uphold the values, you should be the ones who innovate and create new things. If you keep on saying that we had this legacy, maybe in the till the 14th century, it will the gap is going to widen. So this should not happen. In the future, we should be in the forefront of creating technology. We should be greater innovators. We should be greater researchers, and we should place our knowledge in forefront. When the new generation is going to search something, let us place our knowledge in forefront and let them come to that result first.
I think a couple of things that you talked about very interesting is like in Islam, the education model or even adulthood model. And you talk about like one of the things, about the Gregorian calendar, like this, the model of Islam of development a human or developing a Muslim, so to speak, is, one of the things that has, you touched the point of like in Islam, you're not supposed to, I shouldn't say like you're not supposed to, but like, the model is that you let them learn from the environment and engage with the parents till they are 7. And then you start engaging them with the society and you learn them the different skills that they need. Another thing, and one of the things I think you have mentioned earlier is that we want to reduce that 12-year curriculum in 3, 4, 5 years, which is pretty doable. I mean, again, like all of this like 12-year curriculum, it came out of industrial era because they just wanted everybody to be customized to that industrial era lifestyle, which is to say 9 to 5 work. So they wanted to have 9 to 5 schools. So by the time the students are there, they will do it. And that is why the quote unquote, the age of adulthood is 18, because when you graduate from high school, you're 17. So once you get to 18, you start working and you start contributing to the society. But in Islam, our age of maturity of balagha of being is 13 to 15, right? 13 for females, 15 for men. And we have to and essentially what's happening in this current system, in this the current education system, and especially like probably like a lot more so in our society or in our culture, that we delay that maturity of being a man. Like, because what happens is we cater them until they become, I don't know, doctors, lawyers, engineers by the time they're 30, right? And their real life experience, they're so much far behind when if they were out in the world when they were 15 or 16. So as you said, like we have to reshift this mindset of have to have this mind shift where we think of adulthood at 15s, not 18, and also prepare our children to to contribute to themselves and to society at much younger age than say 30 or 40. I'm not saying there's no value in doing that, but at some point, education has become so industrialized and institutionalized that at some point, I said, like, people are paying agencies to get their PhD done, right? So is that really fruitful? And these are all the different aspects of education, again, that we're both trying to address, I guess, in our both way, inshallah, right? One of the things that was very interesting is that you mentioned, or it came in my mind as we were talking, was using AI for language learning, like communication, right? And we don't think of that. I know there's like a topic of interest too, and this is something that you do as well. So can you elaborate on that? Like, how do we use AI for language learning and for human interaction?
Okay. So that is another part. So we used to speak a lot of languages. All across the world, we have got different dialects, we have got different languages and different systems. So traditionally, what we used to do is like we used to learn languages from schools, right? So now we have got AI in place, wherein we have got applications like Duolingo. That is one case. We have got AI systems, conversational AI, wherein you can interact with Google Gemini or Copilot or ChatGPT, and you can interact with that one and learn language. And another aspect is about what all language will exist. So this is another interesting part. So people are people are telling that even English is fine, even in computer science programming, even in coding, knowing English is fine. It's all about you can instruct the computers or you can program in plain English. So that is going to be another scenario. So even in whatever language you speak, even if I speak in Hindi and you on the other side you are speaking Spanish, you are able to like understand the things. So that is how technology is growing fast. So what happens is like here, what we do is like we actually enable the new generation to be polyglots, wherein
Right.
they get the culture of learning a new language rather than learning language as such. We actually create a culture of being polyglots. So we give them different scenarios wherein we give them interesting scenarios. Like we ask them to suppose you are someone who wants to go to Saudi Arabia, for example. So you are interested in that country. So if you are going to a restaurant in that country, what language you will speak? So he or she will tell that I want to learn I will speak in Arabic. So we'll bring in some kind of conversational scenarios wherein they can actually chat with this kind of AI systems. So we can set that even in conversational AI in ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot. We can actually set this kind of scenarios, and we can actually ask them to interact with these kind of scenarios and learn new languages. And it's about the contribution in new language. So right now, if you check the kind of contents in other than in Spanish and English, the internet is actually flooded with the contents from English and Spanish, okay, rather than other languages. So what we need to do is we need to equip the new generation to create more contents in that space. So YouTube is having greater tools for that. YouTube is creating some kind of content tools wherein if you go to CapCut, for example, CapCut is a video editing tool from TikTok. So they have tools. Even if you speak in English, you can translate your conversation to different languages, maybe 5 or 10 languages. So the contents we can even encourage the younger generation to create more and more contents in different languages. For example, Arabic. So we can ask them to create more and more contents in Arabic and put it in internet, so that the new systems will learn from that. And when you search for contents, it also will help. So the learning, the aspect of learning languages is also changing. So even by playing games, even by interacting with systems, even with by interacting with conversational AIs, you can learn a new language. So there is some application called Read Along. Actually, I was thinking
What is it
about
called?
Read Along from Google.
Read along. Okay.
So you will have a lot of languages in that. So we can actually interact. It's like playing games. It's a kind of gamified model wherein you can actually read the stories in that, and the AI will analyze your progress. So there is another application from Microsoft, Reading Coach. So what we need to do, whatever language you need to teach your kids, you have the systems for this, and you will have to ask the new generation to create the interest in learning a new language. So we can actually make them polyglots.
Absolutely.
And tell them the situation why a language should exist, because the new generation may think, why if I use English and the system is able to understand or fulfill all my needs, why should I learn a new language? They will think in that way. So you'll have to teach them the importance of being polyglots and having different cultures in place and different languages in place. That is also very crucial. So coming on to any language learning, AI is going to help them out, but you'll have to create interesting scenarios wherein they also have the interest in learning new languages.
You talk about polyglot, and the first thing that came to my mind was polymath. We used to have so many polymaths, and we just don't have them. Like we used to have like interdisciplinary, interconnected education, and now in the field of this synthetic specialization, we are just focused on like having this isolated fields of knowledges. But we're ulama and the scholars in the past, they used to be polyglot, like philosophers and science and math and fiqh and all of those. And that is again something that we have to as again going back to your concept of personalized education and flex curriculum, right? We have to, one of the things we want to do here as well at Edifyed Academy is to bring back that concept of polymath, have interdisciplinary education, and how to utilize that, as you said, like scenario-based learning, how to utilize that in our daily life, and thinking 50 years to 100 years in advance. Because as you said, we are teaching them something that was 50 years ago. We should be teaching them what will happen in 50 years from now. So we are like 100 years behind or so, but again, those are such important topics, and I know we can probably talk about these things for like a long time, but we are almost at time. So I just wanted to, we'll inshallah continue to have these conversations on different topics. And I just want to thank you for your time for today. and introducing this concept of AI first mindset or AI mindset, particularly in education. I just want to ask you towards the end if you have any particular um, comments, or how was your experience like, how we can make it better, and also any last things you want to say before we sign off.
Okay, Alhamdulillah, it was a great session. Actually, as you told, the time we can't put a time limit for this discussion. Actually, it's a topic wherein we are talking about change. So the
Right.
change means change in personal life, change in professional life, the way you do a job, the way you do a business, everything is going to change, and the change is going to be drastic, and we don't have time for even to prepare for the change. So what we need to do is like we should keep our eyes open. We should
Mm.
be ready to learn. We should be willing to unlearn. Even we should be willing to unlearn and relearn. So
Mm.
that's the kind of situation we are in, and we should not always we should not think that I have done an education for the last 20 25 years. I have a certificate with me. I have got experience of 15 years, and I will continue doing this job for the next 15 years or so. So you should not think that. Should be willing to change even at the age of, like in Singapore, they introduced something for the people at the age of 40. They are going to bring in some kind of upskilling for them. So
Mm.
even before your governments come up with such a scheme, let us think about upskilling ourselves. Let us
Mm.
create a culture of this kind of new learning culture at our home. So let us take our new generation along with us. So that is one key thing that we need to understand. Let us take them along with us. Let us seek help in case of if we are not able to learn technology in a faster pace. Let us seek help in wherever possible. Let us build a team. Let us build a team at home. So that will help us to progress to the next level. So this creating an AI first mindset is very easy. I always say people that it's very easy to learn new stuffs. It's very easy to change. It's very simple. Think in a simple way. So that think simple and think better. That will be our message for the day. Think simple and think better.
Think
Let's
simple
embrace,
and think
embrace the new changes that are happening.
beautiful message. Think simple and think better. Well, thank you so much for joining. Shihabudheen Bhai, inshallah, we will have future discussions regarding education and topics, and developing some new gen scholars for Muslims as well. Thank you so much for your time. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi. Thank you very much.